Okay, folks, we're back again. I'm trying to pick up where we left off last night, and that's working on the stuff that we ended up bringing back, importing from Canada. And this is the M20 armored car. I'm sorry, this is the M8. This is not the M20. This is the M8. And these are some models from Platoon 20. It's a Platoon 20 range from Rapham, which somehow I thought way back in the day was related to Ral Partha. That's kind of in the day of that the store I worked at, the hobby store I worked at, carried some of these. And I figured it was, Ral Partha was still around back then. Let's get rid of these shavings. That's not how you do it. More caffeine. I actually had to make some iced coffee. I was kind of falling asleep, so to speak. So it's early enough here. Just after 7 o'clock. 7:30, closer to 7:30 actually. All right, that's the things that go with that one. Okay, this is the armored car. Now let's take a look at a couple things here. And I'm trying to avoid using my phone as a secondary camera because it does not allow me to search really easily on here. But I'm going to take a look for M8 armored car and see if I can find a drawing of it, because I want to make sure that this piece looks like it's not the same both ways. It's angled a little bit more in one direction than the other. So I want to make sure that we get it on there correctly. And I just need a side view of this vehicle. Let's look at the armored car drawing. It's better to take, here we go, blueprints. This is exactly what we're looking for. This is perfect. Okay, yeah, you can pull stuff up like this on the internet. So, okay, so we've got I don't think it makes much of a difference. It's almost exactly the same. That's the same as this one. Let's make sure we're okay on fit and finish. Okay, one of those is going to go on each side. We're going to mix up some epoxy, so see if we can knock out some of these things while we're on there. We've got that to put on there. We've got this piece that goes like so. We've got the turret that we're not going to glue on, obviously. That would be silly to do that. Let's confirm that the coax machine gun goes on the right side. Okay. Well, this will go like this on this side. And then this little piece will be attached to it. Okay, perfect. All that seems to fit on there just fine. And make sure that all these things are going where they're supposed to go before we're in a mad rush for this. And we have to glue the back too, okay, because we Yesterday, that's what we were doing. We're trying to fit that in there, and it wasn't being glued in. It wasn't fitting in there. Okay, the ring. That goes on here. I don't think this is the ring for that vehicle. I think this is a ring for the... This doesn't have that ring. Here's the 50 caliber machine gun. That's no doubt the tow hitch. Okay, let's assemble what we know that we're going to assemble on there. This ring doesn't go with that vehicle. Maybe they give you the extra parts for the M20. It looks like the ring is on the M20. Which is essentially the same vehicle except without the 37mm turret. And I was looking at pictures of it today. I didn't realize that Patton actually used one of it as a command vehicle. And General Patton riding around with one of those. All right, I'm going to, for safety's sake, we're going to cut a new piece out. And I don't think I need a ton of epoxy, so let's not try to make too much, because this is going to take several attempts at this. Because although it cures fast, it doesn't cure immediately. But nonetheless, we have a secure bond, unlike with super glue, which is very, very brittle. And not very gap filling either. All right, so let's check the rear for fit and finish. It's on there. It's going to attach here and here. And a little bit across the back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put some of this stuff here, some of the epoxy there. All right, and then we're going to attach it like so. Okay. These are just kind of free floating here. These extra little boxes for containing things. So I'm going to do those last because you've got gravity working against you. Hey Nordic man, what's up? That's what you're working on, finishing up these armored cars so we can start working on the tanks. Well, I know it catches there. And it catches there too. Okay, so we're going to... I remember back in the day, I didn't like plastic vehicles. I liked these white metal ones. I don't know, I just figured that they had some heft. I figured they needed to be heavier than the figures. But honestly, plastic is much easier to work with. And one thing I didn't really realize back then, I do realize it now, is the the flash and stuff on this is just kind of annoying. You know, they're not, these don't get put together very well. compared to, say, a plastic model. Now, some plastic models are crap, so, but as a general rule, the plastic models are a lot better fit and finish on them than this. Let's make sure. Hold on, I had it upside down. Got to be careful. You know, I already test fitted everything. This is the 37 millimeter gun. That's the same 37 millimeter gun that's on the Stewart's. And is plenty sufficient to take out any other enemy recon vehicles. So, I have a volume issue. Yeah, I should be rolling here. I'm going to check one thing though. I'll make sure that. Okay. Right. So this is going to go like this. Obviously, that's not going to be glued in. That would be silly. Okay, and we have the mount for the 50 cal. Here's let's use the snips that I don't care about. Let's take most of this stuff off so we can work with this relatively easy. And the 50 is here. And the mount for it is here. This will keep it from going flying across the room. And that one we're going to have to take off apart manually. All right. And here's the 50 caliber. Trim the back, but not all the back, because remember, it's got those little, got the handles where you can grit your teeth and let her rip. Here's the ammo box. This is a very archaic model. It's been around for a really long time. How's this stuff doing? It's still workable? Okay, cool. Right, so this is going to be, I'm just going to take this off of the vehicle. I guess it's a tight fit with the turret. Wanted to pull the bottom of it. Okay, this is going to fit 180 degrees. From this. Oh, did I wait too long? Yeah, we could still work with this. Maybe we can't. Oh well. Mixing up another batch. So I didn't mix up very much. And we're going to do very little amount. This is not a very high quality white metal kit. It's not like an MMS kit or any of those. This is old school. Somehow I got switched from headphones to something else. It wasn't responding. Hey, computer's a lot of time. Got it working now. I know exactly what you mean about hating computers. Technology is great when it works. When it doesn't, sometimes you wish it was never invented because it's less frustrating. Okay, so this little guy is going to fit like this. And of course, it doesn't fit in the hole. Yeah, the fit and finish on this thing is pretty crap. Hey, they had it in the store. My backpack got flagged also going through customs. I had these model kits in there, and the guy took me, oh, what you got there? And then he's, it's funny because these TSA experts, they come in and they always have something cute to say. Like, I think this guy said something like, now they're making tanks with automatic gunners in them. Okay, that's nice. Usually, I'm just going to have to open this up a little bit. I hate going through TSA. It's so freaking stressful. I don't want to be that person that holds up the line. I'm usually not. Actually, on my way out, I didn't even go through the sniffer. My wife and daughter did. I didn't. It's ultimately a waste of time, but they don't know that. Here we go. I was randomly not chosen to go through. That's bullshit. Either everybody goes through or nobody goes through. That whole, well, we're just gonna. You're the 9th person, and it doesn't matter that it looks like you're carrying a bomb. You don't get to go through. Make everybody go through. Hey, Justin, man, what's happening? Oh, just fighting with this old kit. Not really fighting with it, but dealing with it. How about that? A lot of this stuff is a lot easier to do as an older individual because of expectations. When you're a kid, you're just expected to super glue it, put it together. You want to hurry up and build it so you can go, move, play around with it or whatever it is that you want to do. But as you get older, you realize, sometimes things are multiple steps and you can't do everything all at once. And you're not going to be able to do every single thing right off the bat. Oh, this is just a shit show right here. Let's close this up. Now, today was my first day back after being gone for 12 days. Now, 10 of those days, the plant was closed, so it should have been really easy, right? I mean, I really technically only took 2 days off. Man, things went sideways in those 2 days. And it's really frustrating. I go through a lot of effort, like leaving everything done, so it didn't happen that way, and still took all day to clean everything up. Exercising, model making muscles. Absolutely. It's good to be challenged. Because then it's like, oh, this is, you got to cry to your mom when things don't go exactly as planned. That was that guy at the store looked like he was about to cry when I told him that they had too much government in Canada. It's like, there's too much government everywhere. I got no problem with the Canadian people. There's some nice folks out there. And beautiful country. Okay. Right. That needs to go like that. This is going to be one of these vehicles that you're not going to let anybody be able to move it for you. You have to move it for everybody. Because it's, a lot of this is a lot of small parts, and a lot of these things just don't have. One of my favorite model kits is Tamiya, because Tamiya ones, if there's like a peg, there's a hole for the peg to go into. There's lines and things are put together where you've got, not only are you sure that it's going in the right place, but there's some grippage to keep it kind of in the same place where it's supposed to be, so it doesn't slide on you or anything like that. And yeah, there's none of that here. This is all like on faith. Yeah, we're gonna have to let that glue set and come back and readdress it. All right, let's go ahead and put these side things, unless this is already too late. But we actually need this pretty thick, or it's going to slide off the vehicle. Because there's no pegs or a ledge or anything like that for this thing to attach. It is just glued on here by faith, and that's all you got to go on. So you need this epoxy, almost like, I call them glue boogers. When you get stuff in the mail and it's attached with rubber cement, it needs to kind of be that way to kind of keep it in from moving on you. Glue boogers. You can take it off the paper, whatever, and play around with it. You can either play with real boogers or glue boogers. You take your choice. Make a choice. Okay. Let's put a little bit more of this stuff on there. Nice hand gesturing. What? You know what I'm talking about? Those rubber cement things you get in? They'd be like you get like a credit card or something like that. That's not really a credit card. It's like, here's what a credit card looks like attached to a piece of paper. You could sign up for this, and it's attached by glue boogers. It's like this. Is that a rude symbol in Italy or whatever? I'm gonna kick your ass, Because when you get older, model building becomes more relaxing, like working out. That's why I do both. There you go. All right, since you work out, what is the thing you dislike doing the most? What is all of the things? What do you dislike doing the most? And then which one do you like the most? Which one do you like the most? What do you dislike the most? What do you like? What do you like the most? I like doing flies a lot. I don't know why. It just feels like you're in control. Um, I don't like doing. I don't like doing the leg one. Well, I don't like doing squats because I feel like it's giving me knee problems, and I don't have any knee problems. Well, I don't like the one where your legs are extended and you have to bring them back because like the back of your knees just feel, it's just something you never work out. I don't care who you are. There's muscles that we use and there's muscles that we don't use. And that's why I don't understand the people that are like, oh, hey, they're so big they can't get out of their house or they can't walk across the street. I'm like, how do you not walk across the street? Like your body, no matter how out of shape you are, assuming you're not somebody who's elderly, because there's other issues at play there. Your body is used to carrying, or should be used to carrying your weight, right? So you should be able to. You should be able to carry your weight because it's not like all of a sudden you weigh 70 pounds one day you wake up and you're 250. Your muscles should work and build up as you, even if you get fatter. Uh, but I guess if you don't walk at all, then you don't exercise those muscles, and then the next thing you know, you can't. You're one of those people that can't go to Historicon because you can't walk across the street. The peg in the whole hand gesturing you were doing. Oh yeah, yeah. Tamiya. That's Japanese. That's Japanese sign language for Tamiya. It's also pigs in a blanket. I couldn't do a lot of leg stuff because of real bad knees that are too damaged to put that kind of stress on them. Yeah, I mean, if they're damaged, there's nothing you can do about that. I'm on your legs all day, so legs, but I love doing shoulders, chest, abs, tricep. Yeah, I don't mind doing tricep either. Um, I never really was a workout person. I mean, we all should do some kind of activity, but your legs are getting a workout. I'm weak on my upper body, but when we were going to the gym regularly, I got to the point where I could do a lot of dips, which may not seem very impressive to you, but I was kind of impressed. I'm like, one of these days I'll be able to do a pull up, but I don't know. I got to lose quite a bit of weight, and I don't know that I've ever done a pull up in my entire life. Um, but anyhow, I think we're going to rest this. We're going to rest this up at an angle so that it is sitting. It has something for it to sit on, and it's not just like dangling there. That's probably how it sits at rest, anyways. Biking is fun. Yeah, I do my. The hardest thing with biking is that freaking seat. I do my walking, but that's about the extent I want to do. I'm not super young anymore. I've had a damaged knee for almost 23 years, so that wear and tear has caught up with me. Yeah, everybody's got something. Everybody's got an issue. Some people have more than one issue. Um, walking never hurt anybody. None of us do enough of it. I got a lot of steps in on my trip. I think about every day I got over 10,000, which, I probably need to do 30,000, but. This is a bit of a tight fit. I think we're going to, let's relieve some of the pressure on this. Well, just like I say, I'm a gamer size medium. I'm like a gamer badass. I'm in great shape compared to most gamers. There's people that are just in really bad shape. And I don't mean they got a bad knee or something like that. I mean, they don't move at all and they eat all the cheese balls in the world. And it's just like, good Lord. Okay, let's see if we can open this up just a tiny little bit and see if we can squeeze that 50 in there. Because we're going to put it in place and then we're going to glue it down. If this is attached well enough, because it might still be curing, so to speak, which was advantageous the other night because it allowed me to kind of move it in shape in place and adjust it. As these are kind of Mr. Steve, yes, I am working on an M8 armored car by a model by, I don't know, is it a model or a miniature? I don't know, a miniature by a company called Platoon 20. And it is borderline a POS. Sorry, call them like I see them. But we'll end up making it work. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to put some epoxy down there. We're going to glue that already at that angle. Do we need any more? I think I may punt on the M20 for the time being. This isn't as enjoyable as putting the plastic stuff together. Let's see, what are we going to put on there? Let's put the tow hook on here. And it's 50, so we don't need very much of this stuff right here. All right, we'll let that sit for a little bit. This has got to be the tow hook. Although these instructions are terrible. It should be up like that. So let me look and see if there's a drawing of the M20 rear. M8 rear, sorry. Yep, that's exactly it. All right, so let's cut this thing off. Were shipping. My M8s were shipped overseas as military aid. Yep. I think I've got one floating around here somewhere I was going to use for my Modern Africa project. My Modern Africa Imagination project. That I don't have the energy to do that and work on World War II stuff. I come to the realization if I want to get something done, I really got to limit what I'm going to be involved in. I can't be into everything. That you're saying Nordic, or did I change it? I hadn't said it in a while. I'm surprised I remember to give you credit for it. You can't be into everything. Not if you want to have some results. Not if you want to have any results. Take those people to buy tons of Warhammer stuff. You know, I'm surprised. Maybe I just don't have a good grasp of what most people are into. But I was actually surprised that anybody that's older than I am, and I'm 52, but I feel like I'm 25. But anybody older than me, you know, people in their 60s or more, play Warhammer stuff. I just think that Warhammer is like geared towards babes, you know, children's. I don't know. Maybe I'm just mistaken. I just figure somebody younger than me has got to be doing that. I mean, it just seems like a stepping stone of a phase that, you know, to get through. But maybe there are older folks that are still into that. But all right, that should be able to hold on there just fine. But I don't think I'd do really well playing with a Warhammer crowd because I suspect that demographic age group would be got some pretty thin skin, and I don't really want to play with thin-skinned people. They don't get my comedy. And I'm just not willing to. I don't really want to change who the hell I am just because other people, you know, can't deal with other methods of thinking. Okay, we're going to hold that down. That should do okay. We'll go and add the 50 caliber machine gun box at a later date. We'll put Mr. M20, M8. I'll keep calling you, I want to call you M20. M20 is the other one. We haven't built that one yet. Okay, we'll put the little instruction sheet over here. Move this out of the way so we don't end up having a goop of something there. That's pretty much my quote. Okay. 34 degrees, northern Michigan. Weather is nice. No snow. Yeah, 34 degrees is great. I can't play games with people who don't like friendly chiding or thin-skinned. If I can't joke with you and have a good time, and you joke back at me, forget about it. Yep. Something happened in the early 2000s, around 2006, 8, something like that. But all of a sudden, everybody's a sissy about everything. Okay, this bastard. I don't feel like putting this together right now, okay? So, since I'm the boss, you're going to go over here. I'm tired of fooling with this epoxy. We're just going to move these pieces over. Besides, I said I was going to work on tanks. By God, let's work on some freaking tanks. Let's get rid of this, which is like a hand grenade. Meaning it's going to cause all kinds of destruction here. Let's get that out of there. Get this out. And let's get some tanks out here. Playing Flames of War with no rules is fun. In other words, making your own rules. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'd do well with a Warhammer crowd. Just like I don't think I'd do really well having a part-time job working at Starbucks. I don't think I'd get along well with most of the people that work in that kind of an environment. They'd call me all kinds of things, and then they'd get upset because it wouldn't upset me being called all those kinds of things because it doesn't mean anything coming from them. Okay. Since there's no decisions to be made, let's get the old Shermans out. And this must have been one of their very first sets that they did, because the instructions are quite basic. And let's jack this down a little bit. All right. This is the glorious instructions, which are simple and wrong, because this is the 76 millimeter Sherman, and here's a 75 millimeter cannon. It's even got a different turret and everything. All right, so we already have one hole out. As I like to do, let's build one. So if there's a more efficient way to do it, I'll have figured it out by the time I do the second and the third one. All right, so we're going to need our excellent Tamiya clippers. They're expensive, but the sooner you buy them, the more you get to use them. There's no point in buying these expensive tools on your deathbed because you're not going to get your money's worth out of it. Okay, so there's that. Les glue. This is the California orange hippie one, I think. Is that correct? Yep, that smells nice. It smells like oranges. We're going to use that. What else do we need? Some sandpapier. Let's cut us a little sliver of the sandpapier. What do I do with it? Might have cut too small a piece. Oh well. And let's take this stuff off. Buying a cup of coffee for $5-6 and a package of coffee is $6. That's convenience. I buy it only for the energy. I've had to. You know, a big reason that I even do business with them is because they have a coffee that's like freaking 30 ounces. If other people had a 30-ounce coffee that didn't taste like shit, and it's cold, yeah, I don't do it all the time, but I did when I was on vacation. Okay, so we're going to, the bottom hole and the top hole. I do get a kick out of when you go to one of those places and the people are wearing some kind of Marxist shirt, because that's what's on it, and then they want a tip from you. Like, sorry, you don't tip in Marxism. I'll pour my own coffee, thank you. I don't need anything fancy. Okay, that is the hole, the sides, the track. I'm sure just about anything that everybody does that involves spending money, there's some kind of irony in it. We had a guy at work, there's this older guy, and he's not there anymore, thank God. But he was the frugalest motherfucker on the planet. He was like, they wanted to go to lunch, and cut coupons and all that kind of stuff. He was super, super frugal. Had an old vehicle. Didn't. I mean, he's well to do, but he wouldn't spend a freaking dime. Except he had a gambling problem. So, I think there's irony probably in all of us that we do. You're frugal about some things, and then end up pissing it away on something else. Did you get Walter some sort of suggesting those to you, Tony? Well, what you should do is you should have bought yourself a pair. Or suggest things that suck, so you talk me into buying them, and then I don't want them, and I send them to you for free. Okay. This is the sprocket wheel. And we're not going to concern ourselves whether or not the sprocket wheel is accurate. That's the model sprocket wheel for a different model Sherman. Look, I mean, I'm not entering IPMS stuff, and I don't want to spend a fortune on, spare parts and stuff like that. We'll do the best we can with what's given to us. I actually got these Shermans because I think I got, what were these priced at? $22.99 Canadian for 3 of them. That's not bad. I think that's old pricing. I'm like, okay, well, I'll get them off your shelves for you. Where's the... This shows that it has this 2 pieces. Look, but this is the wrong tank. This doesn't have that hole. This is a different piece. Yeah, I really like Plastic Soldier Company, but they have errors like that, which may be confusing for new people. Always thought the cast hole Shermans are the uglier of the two, but sometimes there's attractiveness in ugliness. What? Okay, this is all the lower parts. We'll leave the turret stuff for last. Let's just sand this bitch. Well, we're going to use... Oh, great. It's on the ground. Well, we'll get it later. If not, I got plenty of toes. Or, I'm sorry, did have plenty of toes. Let's take the big bits off this, and then we'll sand little stuff off. I remember when we used to take road trips, we'd go down to Miami or something like that, and we'd get a beverage. And my soda would cost half as much as my wife's water. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a waste. At some point, you just gotta unclench a little bit. Can't worry about every single little thing, or you're gonna die of liver damage. I rented a car. So one of the first things I do when I rent a car and I get ready to put gas in it, I check inside the cap what kind of gas it's supposed to take. And my car said minimum of 91 octanes. That's what I put in there. I don't care that I'm probably going to be the only person that puts in it. It might be a time where I need to accelerate and it hesitates and I have an accident. It wasn't worth saving a tiny little bit for it. It's the right thing to do. That's the kind of gas you should be putting in there. Doesn't matter that it's not my car. You only think the olive drab color on Sherman tanks is fugly on days that end with a Y. Well, there's better looking tanks, and there's a lot uglier looking tanks. I still think the ugliest World War II vehicle that comes to mind, that they made any numbers of them, as prototypes don't count, there's certainly tons of ugly prototypes, is that damn duck truck, that DUKW. That is the ugliest World War II vehicle that I could think of on short notice. Did I enjoy the weather in Canada? I wish it had been colder. But the skies were clear, and it was just cold enough that it was cold, and there was enough snow on the ground, and the road conditions weren't bad. So if it had been 30 degrees colder, which locals said is their norm, I might have had ice issues going from point A to point B. So I'm glad it worked out the way it did. You know, I'm not necessarily, I would have preferred that it be colder, but I'm glad that the roads were in really good shape. They were in really good shape. So it was actually the only part that was icy is you go and you park your car in a parking lot, and where the cars were parked, there was no ice. But like where the door would be, there would be like this patch of ice that was maybe a foot wide that was slippery as snot. And I mean, it might have been only like 3 or 4 inches thick. And, it domed up. And you just had to be careful when you got out of your car that you didn't step on that and, twist your ankle or something like that. Just had to be mindful. It wasn't really bad, but it was just something to, just to be aware. I'd hate for all the roads to be that way. So apparently they say they don't use salt there because it is in a national park, and the salt would attract the animals to come up and lick the roadway. And the next thing you know, you've got, roadkill on the size of, bighorn sheep. So they say they use gravel. And so you've got all this rocks, no different from this, all over the place. And, people have broken windows, windshields, and things like that. But the car was filthy after a week, just from all the stuff on the coming up on it. But I guess that's better than having the rusty underside of a vehicle. But we did like the weather. It was nice and moist. That was the biggest surprise. I was expecting it was going to be dry cold, and I was not looking forward to that. Once I found out it was wet cold, I'm like, oh yeah, bring it. We had to sleep with the windows open in the hotel because it's in the 30s, low 20s, high teens at night. I don't want to be in a hotel room at 70. It's like scalding. So you can't turn it lower than 67, and we had to we popped the windows open, and we had to turn the whole AC system off. Because what was happening the first night is we had the windows open and the heater ended up kicking in to try to maintain whatever the lowest degree we could set it to. And that was just killing us. So once we figured that out, it was smooth sailing. But we don't believe in the heater, Oh, here we go. Oh, it's got these cute little fenders that probably wouldn't last very long in real life. Making headway on your Polish machine gun teams, trying to get back in the swing painting miniatures. I'm nearly a year. Tempted to say Puma is the fuggliest to me. Oh, stop it. Lanchneck, welcome. Good evening from Arizona. The only ice we have are the cubes. And you guys get snow? Maybe not where you're at. You guys have weird phenomenon like, you got those saguaro, big old saguaro cacti with like snow on them in Sedona and stuff like that. I'm going to take a guess that in Arizona there's probably a metric shitload of Mexican food. Everywhere you turn. All right. I know I stopped using this because it doesn't work as well as the Tamiya one, but we're going to give this California Stan glue one more chance. This is the glue made by Microscale. It's called Micro Weld, and it has this nice. It's not nice enough. It's not nice enough like you'd want your whole house to smell like this, but it's not unpleasant like your standard glues. Another thing they changed is the weld cement the testers used to have. They changed the smell of it, and it smells god awful now. First, it just smelled like tester's model glue. You don't want to huff it or anything, but then they made it smell really, really bad. I have a feeling this is probably one of their first models by Plastic Soldier Company. Some of the Mexican food. The problem with Mexican food is you eat too many chips. It's like going to one of those places that has the good free bread. Free bread. It's already included. You're paying for it. You just think it's free. Okay, I think I should mount this first. And then match this up in here. I think that's the way. Yep, that's exactly how you do it. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and put the hull on. Yeah, those places with the free bread, and you fill up on that, and that's me, body by bread. I'll bet I'm not going to be able to find the thing that I found when I moved. That would come in really handy right about now. I'm going to try looking for it. I may not need it, but let's see. If I had any brains, I would have put it here. But I probably found it before I even had this thing together. It's probably not here. Okay, the other place it could be over here. Let's check that out. The olive drab for the Americans isn't very attractive. I'm going to admit to you. But it's better than the late war British. Well, why do you say that? Well, because the late war British sometimes had stupid American stars on their vehicles. And I just think that's so out of place. I don't care what their reasoning is. They could have used something else. It just looks silly. I'm not putting white stars on a British vehicle. I'm just not going to do it. No. I had some pipe cleaners that I found. And you can just put them around here and just tighten them as you need. But this thing's probably welded together now. Yeah, I don't do freaking white stars or stars of any kind. Unless I was going to do a Lend-Lease vehicle. But commies got their own tanks. They don't need the Western Allies giving them any. commie bastards, as opposed to the Nazi bastards. All right, slide this in place. Tucson, you have Sonoran hot dogs. Wow, that sounds like something they do to you if the drug dealers get a hold of you. Cut a part of you off and make you and turn you into a Sonoran hot dog. It just sounds a bit like that. The Colombian necktie and some. You have a food truck that sells Colombian neckties and Sonoran hot dogs. Oop. This one's not the right way in. It's the other way around. Sorry about that. Oh, let's wiggle this little bastard out. Let's see. There we go. We want the teeth showing on the back side, because on the front side, they're made to look like they're interlocking on the track. Okay. And then this one is the one. There's some Canadians that use tilted white stars. Yeah, I saw some of those. I was sorely tempted to do some Canadian vehicles. I may just, whoa, I was not expecting that. I may just do that. But the bad thing is the infantry is just like painting British infantry. English infantry. But I was considering doing some Canadians because, I just came from there. I just emigrated. They kicked me out. They didn't want any more of me. And it'd be pretty cool to play a war game where, you're attacking somebody and, after you blow up a tank, you could apologize. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. So let's do a test fit. There is a top and a bottom, and this should be the top, and this should be the top, and this is the bottom, and this is the bottom. So the question is, that looks about right. And I'm not one of those people that actually has a problem with the way these are made. Some people they don't like the fact that they don't, there's a little bit of a gap there when they meet, and it doesn't bother me at all. I think this is a pretty cool design. It's a lot better than, I don't mind separate link track, but this is certainly a lot quicker. Yeah. This is going to go like this. And it has a nice, they gave it a nice shape. These are, I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of Plastic Soldier Company. I am. Yeah, I like the U.S. tanks in Tunisia. Unfortunately, the Tunisian campaign didn't last as long as. Well, I'm not an anti-Tunisian campaign. I wouldn't want to do Sicily. I don't know. Sicily just doesn't interest me. I'd do Tunisia. I like the American tanks with the yellow stars. I think it looks pretty cool. And I'm not one of those people that, when I first started wargaming, a couple of my local players were the kind of people that were like, if there's not any Americans, I don't want to play. Almost like, they couldn't role play being somebody else. So my preference is not to do American stuff. However, people have this misconception that American equipment is boring looking, and it is if you make it that way. But there's no reason why you can't give it some personality. That's what I've said about the Soviets. The Soviet stuff is really cool, but you got to give it some personality. You can't just throw stuff together and wonder, well, nobody wants to play the Soviets. Why? Well, because they're boring. Well, why'd you make them boring? No reason you needed to do that. So I've got, I don't know, 6, 8 Shermans or whatever, something like that. And I love all of them. They have a lot of personality. I mean, sure, they're not as exciting as some of the other vehicles, but, you know. You could say, whoops, you could say the same thing about the Germans in gray. Oh, they're boring. They're all gray. Your latest World War II projects, Imperial Japanese. You know, I'm not a fan of the Japanese. However, I know a lot less about them than anybody else. So, in the interest of knowing more about them, I wouldn't mind doing some of them. I do have a little Hago. I'll have none of that blasphemy about German Grey Panzers. Well, you know I like them. But, you know, I don't think German Grey Panzers are boring. But, you know, just don't paint them boring. Give them some personality. They were to fight against your Bushmasters for the retaking of the Philippines. Bushmasters came from Arizona. So in other words, they were for the 1944 Philippine stuff. Yeah, I don't know much about that. Jesus, I can't be an expert on everything. The Japanese tanks are pretty cool looking. I mean, they are trash, but they're pretty cool. The problem with Japanese tanks is they can encounter some things that they just can't deal with. You know, if they encounter a Matilda, I mean, how does any Japanese tank, any of them, the best Japanese tank that was made in any quantity would the Shinhoto Chiha has what, a long 47 millimeter gun. You can't deal with a Matilda. You're hosed, you know. Um, they got those little what's that little staff card they make? Kuragane, something like that. Cute little thing. It looks like a little. It's like a mini Horch. You know, MacArthur's army. Yeah. I didn't know anything about the. I didn't know anything about the first set of MacArthur, like where he got kicked out. I didn't know anything about that, and it wasn't until I watched or I listened to the Dan Carlin's Japanese, whatever it's called, the Rising. I forget what the hell he called it, but he focused quite a bit of it on the Philippines. You know, when it fell, and I learned all kinds of shit I didn't know anything about. You know, I like listening to stuff like that when I don't know anything about it because it kind of gives me a starting point for some of it. And, you know, even though I would consider myself a World War II nut, there's parts of World War II I'm just not familiar with. And the Pacific, you know, I'm pretty familiar with the naval stuff in the Pacific up through Guadalcanal because I've gamed it. So, you know, figuring out how to game it and coming up with scenarios, you can't help but learn stuff. Like I've said before, gaming for me has always been about learning about real things that happened. You know, I'm not just reading Warhammer fluff. And I'm real weak on the Pacific because I haven't gamed it. You know, stuff like, who's your favorite Japanese general? I can't name one, you know? Best Japanese tank shop in the Philippines campaign. They were looted M3 Stuarts with the additional machine guns in the hulls. The M2s, huh? Who fired those? Who fired the ones in the sponsons? Because it's a 4-man crew tank, right? You got a commander who also doubles as the, I don't know whether he's the gunner or the loader. Then you have the other guy in the turret. You got a driver, and then you got the hull machine gunner guy. Is the hull machine gunner guy the one that runs around to all the positions? Because they originally had a coax, right? They had a coax with a 37. Then they had the standard hull machine gun, 2 of the little sponsons, which I don't think probably had a whole lot of movement to them, and an AA mount. Although I don't know if the ones that had the sponsons had the AA mount, or that came out later or not. But that's a lot of firepower against infantry. Stewies. They're so darn cute. They really are. They really are very cute. And let me think before I say this. They're probably the best light tank of World War II. I'm not going to count the Chaffee as one of them. Chaffee's like, came out too late. But there's no German light tank that's better than a assuming you're going to haul Panzer III, a medium tank, which I would. A Stuart is so much better than a Panzer II. I mean, it's not even close. I wouldn't call the cruiser tanks light tanks. I wouldn't call an A-13 a light tank. I mean, easily. The best light tank of the Second World War. Well, see, this is interesting. I've actually encountered this before. This is why I only do one of them at a time. If I put it like this, it doesn't look like these wheels sit in the middle of the track. If I move it in, I can't move the one on the top anymore in. Yeah, I think this is just how it'll just do. I encountered that on one or the other. I think it might be. I bet this is just early molds and they fixed it later. Let's move it in a little bit because it can't be the other way around. Okay. It's kind of ugly, but Churchills are kind of ugly. It is what it is. I mean, it's a interesting color choice. Yeah, I can't think of any light tank in the Second World War that's better than a Stuart. And remember, the Stuarts held their own in the desert during Operation Crusader. They got as much armor as a Hunting's got as much armor as a Crusader. They're fast, they're reliable. One of the things I think that makes American Second World War vehicles unattractive, I think the thing that makes them the most unattractive, in my opinion, is their running gear. Their running gear is not very attractive running gear. It was very good, it was a good design, but it's just not very attractive looking. It's much more attractive to have something that has, well, let's take this T70. The T70 is more attractive looking, but this is a piece of shit compared to a Stewart. You know, it's cute, but it's a piece of shit. You know. Let me I'm second guessing myself here. Let's punt. Okay, that one was here. That one was here. This is the advantage of weld cement. Okay. Let's do this one here. This was like this on the top. There's no doubt which one's the top and which one's the bottom. However, and the instructions aren't helpful. Okay? However, there's a possibility that this one goes over here and this one goes over here, but they're flipped 180 degrees. So let's do that. Let's take this here and here. And now let's try putting it on and see if it fits better. The other thing I'm going to check before I get farther along is I'm going to check which way the track pattern goes on the Shermans. I don't remember right off the bat. I should just look at another Sherman. Of course, that may not be right. Okay. Yeah, it's like a... It's like a U. Like a bull's horn. It's higher on the ends than it is in the front. Okay. So with all those parameters, let's take a look at it again. Let's reinvent the wheel. This has more teeth showing, so it wouldn't be this way. This is going to be this way, if either way. Okay. Does the bullhorn meet? No, it does not. So that's probably not what. Let's just put it in there. See how it fits. See if it's even an option. Okay, it doesn't look like it's fitting in there correctly, so that doesn't look right. What if I turn it 180 degrees? Then it has most of the teeth on the inside. So this is definitely the outside side. So the question is, does it fit okay like this? Or is it just flat wrong? Okay, if I put it like this, the bull's horns are in the wrong direction. So I think I had it the correct way, even though the fit on it does not work really well. All right, so let's just try it again. All the teeth are here, okay? Yeah, and then this goes on the bottom here. Got the bullhorn shape, right? And then this one goes here. Yeah, see, the problem is this is how it should sit. This is how this should sit. But in doing so, when you look at the front, the bottom of it is pushed in more than you can get the top one in, because it just doesn't fit in there. So that's what kind of led me to doubt that it was the correct way. We'll just do the best we can. It's not going to be that noticeable. It's just, hey, you want to try to do a good job when you can do a good job. You like the look of the Cromwell tank. I'm not a fan of the Cromwell. I don't know. I don't like it. But that's also one of the most notorious examples of using the white star on. A lot of Cromwells that had a white star on them. And I really don't like the Comet. The Comet is basically like a Cromwell with a 77. Like, hell, you guys already have the awesome gun that's the 17 pounder. The 77 is just a shittier 17 pounder. I don't know, maybe it had better HE performance or something like that, but a 17 pounder is an awesome friggin' weapon. It's better than the gun on a Panther. Could it possibly be the other way? Is that even possible? No. All right, well, what if it was this one? No, I'd want all the teeth on the other. Okay, yeah, it is what it is. We'll just make it look the best we can. Oh, hold on a second. No, it's gotta be like the bull's horns. Yeah, this is probably one of their first models. That's why the fit on it isn't great. It'll be just fine. Your favorite version is the M8 with a short. Oh, this guy right here, this ugly duckling. Yeah, it is ugly, but yeah, it's cute in an ugly way. It's kind of like a Panzer One. What's that thing called? A Sig 33. That's an ugly vehicle. But it's a tiny little vehicle that packs a 150 millimeter gun. Boomba! You're hosed. Now, that said, doesn't mean I'm not going to get any Cromwells. I'm just, The annoying thing about the Cromwells, they were only used by certain units. It wasn't. Not every British Armored Division used them. As a matter of fact, they were the exception. Yeah, that's what the problem is it's for it to fit right on the bottom, look at the ends. It's not sitting up and down well. Command Panzer One, yeah, that thing's ugly as shit. You're right. Yeah. We should do a show. We'll go through all the vehicles and find out what the ugly bastards are. There's certainly tons of them. We don't care about efficiency. Those vehicles that are good, that speaks for themselves. For themselves. I'm talking about ones that are just flat out unattractive. And no, the Puma's not one of them. I tell you what, the list of people that think a Puma is unattractive is probably the same people that think a Spitfire is unattractive. It's damn near the empty set. It still doesn't seem right. It still doesn't seem. This is why I didn't do all of them at once. Because I know that these guys, as much as I like them, these jokers get squirrely sometimes. These Plastic Soldier Company folks get squirrely sometimes. It's definitely not that way. Don't fit. Okay, well we'll just make the most. We'll just make the most of it. I'm still a fan of their vehicles. It's just, sometimes things don't work out 100%. I actually was on some posts and some guy actually disliked the Spitfire. I thought it was ugly. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Nobody thinks the Spitfire is ugly. Now, there's some versions of the Spitfires that are better looking than others. I don't like the really, really late ones that have the super bubble canopy. They don't look Spitfire-y enough, you know? But when they start adding those long 20s that stick out of the freaking wings, oh yeah, that is a sexy beast. And they were painted in cool paint schemes. Like, let's talk Messerschmitts, all right? I think the Messerschmitts, I wouldn't say Messerschmitts are attractive planes. I wouldn't say they're unattractive planes. I'd say they're wicked looking, but I don't like the Fs. I don't like the 109 Fs for a couple of reasons. They're too roundy in places that they shouldn't be so roundy. They just look weird to me. And the paint schemes that they had at that time period just don't appeal to me. I don't like the ones that went to North Africa. It just looks weird. So, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't happen to like what 109Fs look like. I don't like how the aircraft look at all. I don't care that they were really effective. They were. Just don't. I don't think they have attractive lines, and I don't think they were painted in attractive schemes, for my taste. Were they effective? Sure. They beat the living crap out of the Japanese aircraft, but I still don't think they were attractive. I'm probably never going to build a model of one. You know. Did I like the hobby shops in Canada more in Florida? Well, I only had one. First of all, there's no more hobby shops in Florida. Them days are over. And I only went to one, and I wouldn't call it a hobby shop. I'd call it a game store. And it was spectacular. It was it was a time machine to the early 90s is what it reminded me of. I don't like that we don't have a new Stuka in 148 as well as in a Sturmovik in 48. I never liked that scale. Sorry. I'm probably the minority. I don't know. I'm still fighting this thing. All right. One more English try. It's not that way. It will not fit. No, we'll just have to deal with it being that way. No wonder this thing was on sale. It'll end up looking okay. That's why, when you're an adult and you're working on this stuff, this isn't that frustrating because it's not like I got to get this done by tonight and have it painted for a game tomorrow. It's like it'll get done when it gets done and we'll finish it when we finish it. And it'll make you a better modeler. But that's why I'm not a fan of putting these things together with super glue. You need some working time. Let's push that as far as it possibly goes. And actually, the more I'm doing this, the more these two sections are getting smushed together, and it looks like it's one piece of track. So I really don't mind this tinkering with it and coming over here and adjusting it some more. It's kind of, it looks better now than when I was messing with it before. Okay. I think that's, I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad. I would like to start 3D printing in the new year, so yeah, I don't have all that stuff. Tracks backwards or something. I missed. The problem is they're not. They don't fit well. They don't fit well. Yeah, you've got one to the bottom part for it to sit right in the right place. It's further in than the top one, and the top one can't go in any further. It resolved itself. Just got to tinker with it. The weld cement is, a blessing, a godsend. I hated it as a kid because I was like, oh, I still can't play with it. Well, these aren't for playing with, asshole. You know. We got that guy done. This is why you do one, because if there's some kind of fit and finish issues, you're not trying to solve all of them. If the instructions are wrong, they're not helpful. You know. Um, yeah, this shows the teeth on the outside, which you should have all the teeth on the outside. If you do that, then it doesn't fit. The center wheel doesn't fit where it's supposed to be. Yeah, whatever. Okay, two-part turret. There's a good store in Gettysburg, but the last time I was in it, I got food poisoning. Don't lick the boxes. How do you get food poisoning in a store? Those aren't candy bars. Yeah, how exactly does that happen? So one of my gripes about this company, Plastic Soldier Company, is that in 1/72nd scale, you don't get all the options that you get in 15 millimeter. So this particular, if I'm correct, this particular model in this box, you can only make the M4A1 with a 76 millimeter gun. There is no second one. If you buy the same set, has the same box art, in 15 millimeter, they give you an option of turrets. So you can, in other words, you can build these as M4A1s that were at Alamein, which is why they give you the sand skirts here, and with a 75 millimeter gun, as is shown here. Or you can build these as I'm building them. But in 1/72nd, you can only build these. Shit happens. It's hard to say that if I started doing World War II now, if I would have gone 15 millimeters. There certainly are a lot more options than 15 millimeter, but I think the infantry is just too small for what I want to do with them. Because it's definitely an infantry-centric game, regardless of the hundreds of tanks that I've put together. It's still an infantry-centric game. I'm just building tanks because, who the hell doesn't like tanks? I ate at the Haas restaurant near there while in the toy soldier store in Gettysburg the food poisoning hit. I'll never eat another Haas again because of that. 13th time I've never threw up that violently in my life. My daughter had a bad episode at Olive Garden, and she was little, and she wasn't feeling well. She was 5, 6, 7, something like that. Might have been 4, and we had had a bunch of the salad, and she got some kind of mild food poisoning. It wasn't super food, but it did cause her to throw up that salad, and all she remembers is like freaking olive oil and throw up in black olives anywhere. And since then, she can't stand black olives. Well, it's not like they ruined the good ones, which are the green ones, but that's not really a restaurant we go to. It was just kind of a fluke that we happened to be going to that. That ain't real Italian. So yeah, you have a bad experience somewhere with food, you tend to not go back to that place. Because just think of how many places we've all eaten at and we haven't gotten food poisoning. And if you get food poisoning at a place, you're like, there's no reason to go back to that place when I haven't had that problem in any of the other ones I've gone to. So it shouldn't be a very common occurrence. So if it happens to you, they're doing something wrong with that location. All right, so there's the turret. We're going to make this first one closed. Oh, they give me 2 different turrets? You sons of bitches. Now we got to do research. They do. They give me a single hatch and they give me a split hatch. Okay, that's going to be all ahead stop. Let's grab our Sherman book. Ultimately, it doesn't matter to anybody other than me, but... Oh, I forgot I had that book. I had a tank destroyer, U.S. tank destroyers in action. Cool. Wish I had the Stewart boat. I'd rather eat McDonald's than eat fast food than ever eat at a Haas. I've never heard of Haas. Haas sounds like they would serve, Haas. I've informed the engine room to an all-ahead stop, Captain Tony. Yeah, that's my saying. We all have our own sayings. Maybe somebody else says all-ahead stop. Basically, immediately stop. Okay. Oh, because it's 2 different hatches. Idiota. Okay. Of course. So, medium tanks. People always like to rip the Sherman on a lot of stuff. Okay? When the Sherman came out in freaking Alamein, it's a freaking awesome tank. I mean, it's better than... Well, not all the Panzer IVs were long-barreled Panzer IVs. So it's a hell of a lot better than a short-barrel Panzer IV. And crew, what do you call it? Comfort level. The American tanks are great. The British tanks tend to be pretty okay, but across the board, the American tanks are really good for crew comfort. And the fact that it has 2 hatches on the top, well, some of the M4s didn't. But that's just, that is what it is. Look at this. This even has the wrong... This is the single turret. This is just a shit show. These instructions. This is just like they just threw something in there. I still like this. I still like Plastic Soldier Company, but come on, guys. You guys could do better. So, let's pull these 2 out. Okay, and let's pull this hatch out. And Where's the little two-piece dude? Here he is. Okay. Let's move this T70 before it gets damaged. All right. Low speed, high drag. There you go. All right, I gotta look that up. That's bugging me. Haas. Is it a Haas restaurant? Sounds like something could be attached to a Wawa or something. Haas restaurant. Hoss. Rest. Family Steak and Sea. It looks like a Ryan Steakhouse. Remember those? Man, those were huge in the early 90s. It looks exactly like a Ryan Steakhouse. Yeah, I don't like buffet places. Well, they have a barbecue restaurant in Bainbridge, Georgia. That's as close as they get to here. Oh, they're all over. It's a Pennsylvania thing. Looks like they got one in Maryland. Wait, or is that West Virginia, Stan? Yep, that's in West Virginia, Stan. Yep, it's a Pennsylvania thing. Better off eating at Wegmans. Hey, we ate many a meal at those little cafe things that they have in Wegmans. There's some good food there. When we went to Historicon, that was usually our first meal when went to Historicon. We'd go in the Wegmans and sit at the little thing, have a brewski and whatever they had on special. It was always really good. Kind of weird eating at a grocery store now that I think about it. But it's not just a regular grocery store. It's a Wegmans, for God's sakes. It's the Disney World of grocery stores. Okay, this has the modern front. So we're going to need this out. And 76 millimeter gun. Forget what caliber it is. Is it like a 52? I think it's something like that. 76L52. Hurry, I better figure it out before Chadwick comes and gives me a quiz. Golden Corral. I won't eat at one of those again, ever. Western Sizzling. I remember that one. That stuff used to be a lot better. Maybe we just didn't know better, or maybe those things that were just kind of went down and quote. I think that's what it is. I mean, I live in a small town now that's, close to the other town that I live in. And everybody was crying because they closed the Pizza Hut they had here. I said, Pizza Hut was the shit back in the 80s. And And these people were crying, oh, there's all these people that come from the big city to live in our town, and they closed the Pizza Hut. I said, the Pizza Hut closed not because people from the big city came there. It's because it was garbage. Because, they, and I don't, they would keep recycling the freaking pizza and stuff like that. You know? I'm sorry. Competition makes people better or they go out of business. Well, that's the way it should work. I know that's not always the case in every situation, but oh, this food is making you hungry, yeah. You know when you're a foodie, when you're having a meal and you're talking about other food that you're not eating. I do that frequently. Man, we had some good food in Canada. Holy shit. But I really didn't have, I would say, a fair judge of Canada. It would be like us traveling, and like if we came from another country, we went to like Vail or something like that, and we judge all the United States by what Vail is like. That's probably the equivalent. But man, all the food we had was incredible. And that's the other thing is in my experience in the last 3 years, the quality of food in the U.S. has gone down. Ever since COVID, people are like, we'll just kind of putz around and people will get what they get, and if they don't like it, tough. Instead of like, if we have crap food, people won't come here. It's almost like, well, people just have to deal with it. It just seems like that's what the case has been since then. So, this does not look like something is kind of peculiar here. Let's take a look at this. It's equivalent. This is a pre-made model in Altai, I think is what it is. Something's rotten in the state. Denmark? Something's rotten in the Straits of Denmark. What? Yeah, must be the hood blew up. Okay, let's put a little pinhole in it. Like that. I want to give myself a poke. I actually had to give myself an injection for the first time ever on Christmas Eve. I think that's when it was. I was scared shitless to do it, putting this needle into my stomach, but everything went okay. Medication I'm on has got to be injected that way. It's all, psychological. It didn't even hurt. It was weird. Okay, we need the container. Oh, I need to get a height advantage over on these things. I don't have an LOS to my the pen, needle pen. See, this takes a long time. I mean, this is a quick build thing, but it's taken me some time to put together. I don't mind. It's kind of fun, As long as it turns out okay. Now, if it turns out like crap, well, that's no good. It's going to take as long as it's going to take. I do not know my Shakespeare. I do not. No. It's not written in English. The only Shakespeare I've ever appreciated was this one year in college. I had some kind of English class, and we had to go over Macbeth. And, I'm not a fan of that stuff, but I had a really good experience because we would read it, and then we would go over what it meant, kind of in a communal way. That seems dirty saying that, but it did help the understanding. That's the only Shakespeare thing I've appreciated because it's impossible to freaking read. know? So no, I've never read Hamlet. I was supposed to, and I didn't do it. I said, I'm not reading this crap. War paints. No, can't say that I have. You're not talking about war painter, right? You're not talking about. Nope. Where are you? You're not talking about army painter, are you? Let's go a little bit bigger. So I was doing 1/35 scale modeling. I'm not going to bother with putting a hole in the end of it. I'm a poor student. I can't afford to have a pin vise. And you're buying these things, and then you're like, okay, well, let's try to use it every chance I get. There we go. Just put a divot on the end of it. Doesn't have to go very deep. War paints. I'm not sure what those are. I tried acrylic paints as soon as I found out about them. And it used to be the old Citadel line, was these guys. These kinds. Citadel Color with the U in it. And Poly S, which was made by Floqual. And that's what I did. That's what I used for the longest times. I was actually used the Poly S first. And then, I was pretty happy with that until I found out about these eyedropper ones. And I'm like, oh, well, I could just put a tiny little bit of paint and not have less wastage. All right, where's the... Oh, already soft installed it on here. But the Poly S ones, as awesome as they were, they didn't last. When I moved, I dumped them all. They were basically all dead. It's like I dumped half my brushes. I have not tried the speed painters and probably never will. They're not really geared for me. And it would be, buying into something else. I'm going to keep going with what I've got here. Okay. Hey, if it keeps people interested in the hobby, that might not all, if it keeps them from getting frustrated, I'm all for it. But I'm not really their targeted audience. Okay. I'm flying blind here, so these instructions are worthless. Let's go to the drawing here. Most certainly this hole in the roof is for the 50 cal to go in. And here's an ugly version of the Sherman. And this is 2 vehicles of the 747th Medium Tank Battalion show differences in added armor. Sandbags were fastened over the added armor, and open 4-inch grid metal mesh with cheesecloth netting covers the sandbags. Look how ugly that is. It's like Sherman's with fur. Being speed paint. I try to flesh speed paint, and I want to chuck it. I think the whole contrast speed paint's not for me. Yeah. Flying blind is better than flying asleep. God, that's ugly. Now, there are some Shermans that I think are pretty darn attractive. Here's one of them. This is a good looking Sherman right here. Down here at the bottom. Not bad. I don't have a jumbo. I don't think I don't think they're unattractive vehicles. I think they could be now if you do stuff like, sir, we're getting the crap beat out of us. All right, why? Because we have this big white star. Okay, so paint over it sloppily. No, that's no bueno. We're not going to do that. That looks like caca. You know, we're not doing that. This comes with Sanskrits. I don't think I'm going to put the Sanskrits on them. Okay. We have... Oh, as soon as I close it, I got to open it back up. Let's look at the top of the turret and find out which one's the loader's hatch and which is the commander's hatch. Commander's hatch, I'm going to bet's on the left. But I do not know. Yeah, the M4A3. M4A3 had only one hatch in the top. And the wet stowage. Okay, it looks like they added another one. Jumbo. M4A1, here we go. Okay, so we're going to have the one with all of the little vision ports is over here, and the hatch opens out. And this one is the split one. And the split is like this. And there's one that has like a periscope in it. That goes towards the outside of the tank. So not only is it important which way it opens, but that the correct hatch one goes on the correct side. Right. Let's move this over here. And I love these squadron signal books because there's just enough detail to give you what you want with the line drawings. I mean, you could look this stuff up on the internet too. But they're easy to understand. It's not like written like stupidly, and it's also not like overly complicated. All right, so we're going to make this one closed. Only one of them is going to be open. That's about the right proportion. Okay, and we're going to drop this in there. Okay, and then rotate this. It's not rotating at all in there. There we go. A little more. The fit and finish on these things is really good. just like S model, you can almost put them together without any glue. Well, you can't do that with the tracks, but the other parts fit really well together. There we go. All right. And the other one's side to side. Just paint a little bit of this stuff on the side. Blammo. Okay. And then this hatch is like that, closed. And this one has the periscope towards the outside. Really don't want to glue them together. Best way to not get a fingerprint on it is don't use your finger. Okay, what else do we got on here? We've got the whole machine gun. Let's see what we got here. Contrast paints are too watery and are just thick washes. Not a fan of putting stars, crosses, etc. on tanks. It means how shoot my tank here, please. Some point this year, I'm going to build a 135th Sherman Firefly. I am subsequently struggling to get back into the Scharnhorst. You're building the Scharnhorst with a waterline, right? You're not going to... When I was a kid, waterline stuff didn't exist, so you're stuck with this bottom hull that you don't want to freaking build, you know? And then it's the two halves, and it was a pain in the ass. It was just a pain in the ass. I don't know what this is supposed to be. We'll have to figure out what it is later. Okay, there's the commander. There's the pintle mount for the 50. Here's another little box. Okay. Here's extra, and I've got extra Sherman things to add to it. So a detail set, that kind of stuff. So we're just going to build these Baron, and we'll detail them up so that all three of them will look different. This is the whole 30 cal. I never liked the look of the 30 cal water cooled, air cooled machine gun. It just somehow just looked just dumb, but it's a classic. Always looked like a cross between a cigar and a beehive. Just all right. Well, it's on here. The 50. Yeah, it doesn't tell you where these things go. I bet this goes over the back. Well, we're not touching that stuff right now because we certainly have the sources to figure out what the hell that goes on there. All right. Now, how does it match up with the Altaia? It's like it's a little fatter. So honestly, it looks better. All right. All right, let's build two more. One of them will have an open hatch. The other one will not. These are pieces parts, and I may even put these sand things on one of them, depending if I can find some photographic evidence. Took a long time to put one tank together. Good thing I'm not in a hurry. Get this guy out of the way. Lower hull stuff, huh? Of course, the trackage. Got 6 or 8 Shermans. This will give me 9. I want to get like 6 more. I don't know. Just give them some personality. They're cool. And I haven't even given any of them a nickname yet. They're just cool, especially if it's stuff that like people can't appreciate. Like that's why I enjoy doing like the T-34s. They're all the same. Okay, well if you paint them all the same, I got a T-34 that basically has this slogan on the side of it. Is it says something like from the United Workers of Communist Moldova or some shit like that. Okay, every T-34 in that tank brigade. I don't remember how many tanks are in a tank brigade right off the bat. Say 70 tanks or something like that. I don't know. Every one of them in that tank brigade historically had the same slogan on them. So why would you do, multiple tanks with the same slogan? It just makes them boring. So, you just got to give them some personality so, they're exciting to play. Ship gets way too in depth. Think I want to do as a model builder. I'm not in a hurry either. Finishing in bags. World War II miniatures got. When I finish, I finish. Refuse to buy more till they're all done. No more stockpile of miniatures for me. Name that one the Nerd Burglar. Well, if I was doing stuff for what's it called? Gaslands. Definitely be a nerd burglar there. What time is it? Oh, nerd burglar may be in hiding. I flew over nerd burglar land. Flyover country. I'll be right back. I'm not even going to shut the screen down. All right. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I picture Rick as the midget sitting on the big guy's shoulder from the Mad Max movies. The midget from Mad Max Fury Road. I haven't seen that one. Is it worth watching? Welcome to Bartertown. I don't know. I think I've only seen the Mad Max movies once each. That was 20 years ago. Yeah, some things you have a good opinion of, and then you watch them again. You're like, how did I put this up the first time? And they're just some series that are well loved by fans that I just don't get. You know, I know I've talked about this before, but I never understood the love for Highlander. I never understood the love for it. I've only seen one of them. It was just, I don't get it. I mean, I get that a lot of you folks are of Scottish descent and you need your movie. Got it. Like, make a real Scottish movie, not some make believe garbage. And, I love Sean Connery, but he's not my people. You know, it just has a lot of things in it that just don't appeal to me. It is a well loved movie. I would say that most people that have seen it like the movie. I'm definitely in the minority, but well, whatever. If that's what you like. It's less about Scotland and more about the fight of the immortals. Give me Greek mythology. Build any Hungarian tanks? Not yet. A Toldi? No. I don't know what happened to them after Stalingrad, but them and the Romanians wanted to fight each other more than the Russians. That's a problem. That's a problem if you've got allies that hate each other more than they hate the enemy. that's not going to end well. But I'm not really that sympathetic to Nazi problems. Oh darn, they didn't win the war. Good. What's going on here? What's going on here, Cletus? I don't think that's sticking up. I can't believe a tiny little bit like that would make that much of a difference. I guess that means you're a fan. Hey, most people are fans. Most dudes are a fan. It's definitely not a women aren't lying around the block to love that movie, but I like Sean Connery, but he makes a shitty Spaniard. I would say that he is worse of a Spaniard than Harrison Ford is a Russian submarine commander. Bad cast, comrade. Speaking of Sean Connery, I finally got around to seeing the last Bond movie, and it wasn't as bad as people expect. I was expecting it to be. It wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. I just think we're just in the zone where there's just either we're all turning into crotchety old bastards, or all the movies just suck. Maybe it's both. I'm in no hurry to watch that Napoleon movie. I hope Mitch hasn't seen it. That'd be a great movie to watch with him because he's kind of a Napoleon. He's a fan of that period. I never war game that period. Last Bond movie sucked. Was the worst Bond movie to date, and I will not watch another new Bond movie made because of it. Yeah, K-19. Nobody liked K-19 Widowmaker. Everybody likes Harrison Ford, but not as a Soviet tank command, a Soviet submarine commander. Come on, man. Okay. They should cast more movie roles of people you've never seen before. The movies would be better. Instead of trying to cast somebody that's already been pigeonholed as in the role. Well, I know we were talking about Denzel Washington and how I've only seen him in like one movie, or was it two? Two. Glory and Manchurian Candidate. I don't think I'm going to be watching him as Hannibal. If that movie comes to fruition. And I think he's a good actor, just like, no. You like K-19? I only saw it one time. It wasn't the worst movie I saw. It was better than U-571. I refuse to watch anything after 2018, except The Boys. The woke virus has destroyed TV and movies as well. A bit of my hobby, and I want more of it. Denzel Washington is one of my all-time favorites. It just Hannibal, really? Training Day is a good movie. It's a sports movie, so I'm not interested in sports movies. Sorry. I think he's a good actor. Um, he's just in the wrong movies for me, you know? And I think he's a very likable guy. And I don't think he's got any personal drama. I mean, like, he hasn't slapped anybody. Okay. Training Day has nothing to do with sports. Okay, maybe I'll watch it. The Penis Fetish of Season 3. The Corrupt Drug Task. Somebody recommended for me to watch Sicario. What do you guys know about that? I haven't watched it. I'm not a fan of, what's his face? Who's the Puerto Rican dude? I'm not a fan of his. He seems like he's. I think he's in that. It's funny. I don't remember his name, but I remember where he's from. I think he's I think he's Puerto Rican. Um, no, this one goes the other way. This one. Like this. There we go. That fits in there nicely. Now, we should have the same problem on the bottom that this doesn't fit on. Yep. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay. Well, let's start assembling on there. Yeah. Sicari's a good movie? Okay. I'm not a fan of Emily Blunt's in that too. I'm not a fan of hers, but I'll give it a shot. If I'm not entertained by 10 minutes, I'm out of there. But it's about anything deserves 10 minutes. If you're not captivated by 10 minutes, there's just too many other things to watch. But yeah, it's the top that's the problem. The top doesn't fit like it should, and that's throwing the whole ball game off. I'm not dissing her. I'm just leaving her for you. Trying to be thoughtful. I don't know that I want to meet somebody famous. They got all kinds of issues that I don't really need to be a part of. Sons of bitches. This just takes a lot longer than it should, but it is what it is. I don't know how I got the other one to finally fit on there correctly. I think it just gave up. Yeah, it fits together pretty well now, but man, I had to tinker with this son of a bitch like crazy. Nice thing is they're solid. They're solid models. You shouted son of a bitch at the same time? There we go. Teamwork. Did I ever see Schindler's List? So Schindler's List once. Schindler's List is a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity. I don't care what your reasoning is. It's a missed opportunity to do it black and white. Because when you see that kind of graphic stuff in color, it's freaking real. I mean, I remember as a teenager when that miniseries War and Remembrance came out in 87, 88, one of those 2 years. It was either 87 or 88. It was on TV. And they had those scenes at Auschwitz. And it was in color. And they used real people that were nude. But I mean, I don't know how they got it by the censors. I guess it wasn't done in a graphic way. It was, man, it was intense. It was really, really intense. And they had that. Who's that guy? The whatever his name is. I can't remember what the name of the actor is, but the guy that plays Admiral Pyatt in Star Wars, the guy that survives, the guy that gets promoted. He ends up playing a really bad SS commander in charge of all that shit, whatever his name is. I can't remember what his name is right now. British actor. But they have all that shit that's happening in freaking full freaking color. It's it's a lot more powerful than some black and white newsreel looking thing. Fury is a good movie. I saw it in the movie theater with Mitch. I enjoy it except the last scene. I tried to watch it again about 6 months ago with my daughter. I couldn't stand it. I just I didn't like anybody on that tank crew thing. It just I just didn't like it at all. And my daughter didn't like it either. So it wasn't like, well, I'll keep watching it for her sake. I don't really like Brad Pitt. I don't know that he just doesn't do it for me. There's too many like people that were like known in that movie. If they had used some more unknowns, I think it would have been a better movie. But between you got Brad Pitt. I mean, everybody on the tank crew is a well-known person that's been in tons of movies that you've seen. It's like, what are these guys doing in World War II? It just didn't seem very believable. I started watching. I was on my flight, and I'm like, I downloaded a couple of movies to watch. And my daughter was watching them with me. And eventually, she just gave up. So I'm like, F it, I'm gonna watch them. And I downloaded. I already seen the movie before. The director's cut or the extended cut of T-34, right? Which I think has some of the best special effects of any World War II movie at all. A storyline that is horrible, and rewatching it, it's even worse. Um, but the special effects in it are pretty awesome. But you know, typical Russian crap film. It's all propaganda. Some movies are good first time, second time not so the same. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. One thing that struck me watching Fury the second time is the beginning of it when he's riding through all those tanks on a horse. Is that they went through a lot of effort to make because the first of it starts like basically like this scene where the tanks had this close combat duel, and they went out of their way to make the silhouettes of the vehicles look like the vehicles. It's like, oh, that's a Panther, that's a Sherman, there's a such and such, a Jag Panther. It was they went through some effort to do that, and they didn't need to. So yeah, the special effects on the T-34 are great, and what happens when they take a shell hit or as a glancing blow, it shows all that kind of stuff, and the Russians the Russians do yes, the Russians do a good job of trying to do German mock-up tanks better than anybody else. Um, but the plot's ridiculous. The plot's ridiculous. But again, probably geared for people that know very little about the Second World War. Did I see that new We All Quiet on the Western Front? I did, and I don't want to see it a second time. Um, I thought the thing that it did the best is it showed how horrible war is. I think it did a very effective job of that, and it should do an effective job of that. However, I didn't like the blood. What's the blood rage that the main character went through. I get it. I get it that he was scared and then he eventually snapped and just went into a rage, but he cooled down from the rage a little too fast. Again, it's kind of like like the last season of Game of Thrones. I don't necessarily have a problem with the ending. It's not what I would have wanted, but it's how it shifted gears. They shifted gears in the plot on that too rough. So that's just my personal opinion on it. But I think it did do a good job of showing the horror of war. But bloodlust is a word I'm thinking of. I don't have a problem with him going into bloodlust. I have a problem with him cooling down from the bloodlust as quick as he did. I just don't think that's very believable. Maybe that really happened. I just, as an outsider, just seemed like it wouldn't be. You wouldn't go from I'm afraid of dying to you're killing my guys, so I'm going to try to murder all of you guys in hand-to-hand combat. And as soon as he kills one guy, he's like, oh my God, I'm going to try to save this guy who I was just trying to kill a moment ago. It just seems too, like, dude, give it like at least 10 minutes before he cools down from it. Not like, it just seemed, it was awkward. It seemed very, very awkward the way that was handled. All Quiet on the Western Front, was dumber than Fury. The Sopranos pissed me off on how they made that ended. Oh, I haven't seen it yet. And I like mob stuff, but I haven't seen it yet. Anybody seen the mob show that's on that was on Netflix for a while called Gomorrah? It's basically a mob thing in modern day Italy. And it's all in subtitles. It's Italian and everything. And it's a little slow, but it was pretty good. I think there was 2 seasons, might be in a 3rd season. But that was a pretty good series. You don't like the actor who plays Tony Soprano. Okay. Well, he's dead now, so you don't have to deal with him. I don't know if that makes you feel any better, but I've never seen him I've never seen Gandolfini in anything, so I honestly do not know. Is that an Italian Gandalf? Gandolfini. It's Italian for wizard. It's called Gomorrah, as in Sodom and Gomorrah. It's just called Gomorrah. Gomorrah. Maybe it's 2 R's, A-H. It's excellent. It's a little slow. Your favorite mob series, Boardwalk Empire. I've heard really good things about that. Almost unanimously good things about that. Marcus, welcome back. You were just watching your Back from Canada video this morning. Excellent. Beautiful country. Maybe not all of it, but we went. It was just absolutely spectacularly gorgeous. Gomorrah. 1 M, 2 H's. Okay. Yeah, it's a little slow, man. Give it a chance. I think it's 2 seasons. left Banff and Jasper. We didn't make it out to Jasper. That's way out there. Pissed that I missed the hobby store in Calgary, though. It's incredible. I walked in and I'm like, all right, this is a big friggin' place. They got, and I didn't even show you guys the places where they had to play because I had to send the wife away. I'm like, honey, I'm gonna be here a while. She's like, we'll just take an Uber back to the hotel. You just drive back when you're ready. I'm like, okay. And I felt bad. I was there. I could have probably spent a week there. But the thing is I didn't need anything. If I was like, looking for deals or I needed to find, some model of something or another. But man, I scoured that place like crazy. I was impressed that they had that much historical stuff. And I was impressed that that much historical stuff wasn't covered under 4 inches of dust. It was really quite amazing. And I was actually, the only reason I went there was on a recommendation from my buddy. He's like, oh, you gotta check out the Century Box. I'm like, I walk in there, I'm like, all right, so they got all the Games Workshop, all the 20 millimeter hell you could possibly want. Yeah, whatever. But it was just crazy. I hadn't seen something like that since the 1990s. It would take me 1 day and 12 hours to get to Calgary. Yeah, you got to go through. You got to go for a while. Actually, on my way home, I run Waze all the time, just to help sniff out where them cops are. And I don't have a problem with cops. I just think they should be doing something better than doing speeding tickets for going 6 miles an hour over. But anyhow, I decided that instead of plugging my address of getting home, I said, one of the last places because I used my Waze up there, I'm like, yeah. I plugged in the hotel or I clicked on it because it already came up. I clicked on the driving directions from here to the hotel in Calgary that we stayed at. It was like 2,622 minutes, but only $1.90 in tolls. That would cost you a fortune in gas. It was like 2,400 miles or something like that. Or maybe it was the other way around. It was like 2,622 miles, and then it was like 2,400 minutes or something like that. Like, yeah, no, I don't have that much time off to be able to do that. Miss Physical Store thing, the old days. Online shopping isn't the same. It isn't. But it is better that we have access to everything. It is better that we can communicate with people all over the world instead of just whoever we're stuck with. But they had, I didn't catch it in the video because I didn't go around the corner. But the Plastic Soldier company they had about one of everything they had. They had the Valentine and the honey, and I almost picked up the honey one. And they had all all the German shit that I already have one of. Already have. What is it? They had some M4A2 Shermans, some M4A4 Sherman. I don't think they had the M4A4 that comes with the Firefly. But they did have the Sherman 3s, M4A2s. And they had some M4A1s for like Alamein. And they had honeys and they had Valentines. And I'm just like, I don't want to get diluted into like, okay, well, I was hemming and hawing about getting the honeys. I'm just gonna start going down in a different direction. So let's just stick with America and the Soviets and the Germans for now. We got to get some of this infantry done. And I have no infantry for the desert for anybody, other than the old MPC slash Airfix figures. I don't want to go down that slippery slope. As exciting as building British tanks with the pendants coming off of them and stuff like that would be, I don't want to get my limited attention span diluted. So what really made the difference when I picked up these vehicles, because I've been wanting to get an M8, and I've been wanting to get a howitzer motor carriage, an M8 howitzer motor carriage, and an M8 and an M20 Scout car. I've been wanting to get that. So once I did that, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to keep it American. And I really didn't need these Shermans, but they were like at old pricing. I'm like, I'm going to grab these guys. So, it's funny, the Tiger 1 pack that comes from these guys. There's 3 tanks in every pack, almost in every one of them, whether it's T-70s, Panzer IVs, Panzer IIIs, the Shermans. The Churchills only come 2, the Panthers only come 2, but the Tiger 1s come 3. Like, should have picked me up. I can't enable people to do 15 millimeter. Close enough to pick a stance. Folks, the gaming group want to get into Lunar by Black Site Studios. Never heard of it. Cold War period combat on the moon. What will they think of next? What's that Nazi movie that's all on? That stupid Nazi movie, it's on Netflix. I haven't seen it. Iron something? Iron Sky or something like that? Isn't that like a Nazi base on the moon or some shit like that? I haven't seen it. I'm like, I don't want to watch that crap. Might be amusing, but I doubt it. Anybody see that? Am I wrong? I think it's called Iron Sky. Reminds me of the James Bond Moonraker film. I remember as a kid, they always had that one playing on TV, but my parents were extremely strict, so I never got to see the ending of it. Which I guess after I saw the ending of it was probably a good thing, because the ending's stupid, you know. And I am, the time that I grew up with, Roger Moore is my James Bond. He's my preference. It's just what I grew up with. But yeah, once I saw that ending, I'm like, what the f? Man in the High Castle. Man, I've tried to watch it twice. I just the last time I was watching, I realized why it wasn't very captivating. If it had been set, it's just not very believable in the '60s. I don't know. It just I tried to watch it a couple times. I know that lots of people like it or whatever, but I don't know anybody who's watched it. So maybe if it was something that Mitch had seen and we want to talk about it or something like that, but I tried watching it again recently, maybe in the last year, and I'm like, man, I just can't get into this. Something out of Texas, so they're domestic. I don't know what that means. I can't see because of that damn little heart in the way. And come to find out, you guys have that same problem too, where you can't see because that silly thing that they put on there is in the way. Okay. Did not care for the man in the high castle. What was it that you didn't like about it? I think the heart thing is for like if you want. Well, let me click on it. Let's see what happens. So we can give somebody like, let's say I really like what you put on there, and I can put. Oh, I can't do that because I'm not signed in. I think you can like give somebody like a thumbs up or something like that if somebody says something like awe-inspiring or something. But I have no way to shut it off, and what happens is I can't make out what somebody says if it's covered over. There's no way to remove that. That wasn't the case. That wasn't there about a year ago. They decided to put that on there for some artsy reason. But some things you figure out yourself. You end up watching them. Something you watch them because everybody you know is watching it. That's the only reason I got into Walking Dead. Everybody I knew at the time was watching Walking Dead. And well, I guess I gotta watch it. Oh, everybody's watching Game of Thrones. I'll watch it. I don't know anybody who watched the second one, so I didn't watch it. You know, that and the first one left such a bad taste in so many people's mouths. Well, at least we're back on the roll of doing this stuff on a regular basis. That's good. Um, I like this room. The only bad thing is if things are happening in the main room out there in the kitchen, it's just there's just sound that's going to filter in here. There's not really anything I can do about it right this moment. So it's not a huge deal. The lighting situation in here is a lot better than I ever expected it to be because I can probably get away with not even using this light and still have enough light to work with. This just makes it that much better. So, known characters. Man High Castle is like spy versus spy in a weird way. I didn't like the Man in High Castle either. None of the main characters gave me any interest. The Walking Dead overstayed its welcome by about 5 seasons. The show became real bad leading up to the asswipe Negan showing up, and that's when I walked. I will hit the heart and see what happens. There you go. You're liking it. Yeah. What was the name of that girl that I liked on freaking Walking Dead? One of Negan's wives, Sherry. She's super cute, but she didn't last long. Um, yeah, that show wasn't worth a damn once they got rid of the governor. The governor, that was awesome. But then I like that actor, so that helps, you know. Nothing happened. Yeah, and I can't remove it. Can I even run? Let's see what happens if I right click on this thing. 100%. The action cannot be performed inside Streamlabs desktop. To interact with chat, you can open the chat in a web browser. Will do no such thing. Christian Serratos. Now she's a fine lad. Well, she started really interesting, and then after a while, I'm like, Rosita, right? That was what her character's name was. You know, the character I couldn't stand was the freaking priest, the cleric, because it's like I understand people being a pacifist. I really do understand people being a pacifist, being scared, whatever, not wanting to harm other people. I get that, okay? It makes sense. That probably wouldn't be me, but I can see that being the case. But when your tribe is in danger and you don't stand up for them, or when your life is in danger and you don't stand up for yourself, I lose zero respect for that because it's just not very believable. You know? If for no other reason, you should operate from a standpoint of revenge. Like, okay, I don't want to hurt anybody, but it's like something bad happens to your tribe, your group, whatever you want to call it, that you've, I'm not going to say family because there's very few of those characters that actually had, offspring. It's usually, just a motley group of whatever happened to be on there. If you don't stand up for your people, it's just not very believable. It's just, just like to change directions. Like I would not do well in the Star Wars universe. That whole Force thing and, like, oh, well, I wouldn't make a very good monk. I'd be a good, like, revenge person. Like, because that makes sense to me. What's funny about Walking Dead is Maggie and Negan are holding hands. Also liked Emily Kinney, but she portrayed Beth, who was too young for her to play, and that's okay. I couldn't stand Laura, Andrea, and the priest, and a lot of the other characters, especially Negan. Morgan also really pissed me off. His character is one of the reasons I can't stand the show and also ruined Fear the Walking Dead. The priest is still alive. I mean, just I watched either the first episode of the whole. No, I watched the first season of Fear the Walking Dead, and the one guy that should have died right off the bat is the guy that lives. It's like, what kind of logic is that? Like I said, I get being scared. I get not wanting to, to be a badass. Okay, I get it. But when it's like fight or surrender, you freaking fight, man. What was that? What was that show? What was that zombie show that was on Summer? What's it called? Something Summer. Black Summer. Okay, season 1 of Black Summer was pretty interesting. The second one was just garbage, but the first one was pretty interesting. But you have all these people that are going from point A to point B, and I get it. You can't get a hold of a firearm or a machete or something like that. take this freaking chair, break it, and you got some freaking sticks. Like, you gotta have something in your hands where you're gonna be able to use some advantage. But just walking around with unarmed with anything, not even, I mean, when we were kids, we grabbed sticks and stuff, you know? And there was no zombie apocalypse. You know, arm yourself with something. Sergeant York 401 was a pacifist. He had a change of heart and became a Medal of Honor winner. There you go. He dies next season. I gotta step away half an hour. You're still on. She'll be back. Hold on 1 second. I'll be back in just one moment. Okay, so yeah, when you just have reactions like that just aren't very believable. You know, I'm watching Saving Private Ryan with my daughter, who was probably 15 or 16 at the time. And that scene with the interpreter is in the house. He's got an M1 Garand, and he just stands idly by, not wanting to lift a finger for his, it's not his family, but he's hung out with these guys for, on this mission, and he doesn't step it up. My daughter had so many things to say about that PUSSY. It's like, I get it. You don't want to be killed. But man, when it's time to fight or you're going to die, I want to take somebody with me. And I'm not a badass. I'm just saying that that's just, the only thing that makes sense. All right, Marcus, have a good night. I'm going to try to get this other Shermie done. Is that way we can do the Stewies tomorrow. Do those cute little bastards. He rolled a 1 on his courage check. No shit. It just doesn't seem very believable. I can see, being scared of crap. Sure, absolutely. You know? And then the Germans be like, oh, he's not worth killing. Really? Did that happen in real life? Maybe. Just seems really unbelievable. My daughter was so pissed at that dude. She was so pissed. And my daughter's girly, but she's like, hell no. Oh, man. You got to stand up for your tribe, man. If you don't do that, who's going to do it? Whoopsie. I'm not thrilled of having all three of these guys be 76 millimeter gun Shermans because it's really going to throw my proportion off. Is I've already got 1, 2, 3, 4 75 millimeter gun Shermans and 2 76s. So now I'm going to have more 76 millimeter gun Shermans than I have 75. I have to get more 75 millimeter gun Shermans. And that's it. I really wish that I do really like Plastic Soldier Company for whatever faults I may say they have with their instructions and everything. They work well enough for me because I've got documentation that I can use to find that stuff out. But I can see them being frustrating for, maybe new people don't really care whether they build them correctly. It's not that important to them. But the ones that I'm not a big fan of is Armor Fast, and they just lack a lot of detail, and there's some things that I really wish there was a way to. One of you guys was mentioning that you always like to be able to look at the product. The M10 tank destroyer that they make, that Armor Fast makes, is there are 2 to each pack. And the M10 tank destroyer, if you know what an M10 tank destroyer looks like, it's open top like this, but it's on a Sherman-sized hull. I don't remember if it is a Sherman hull or not. I don't remember. But it has a 76 millimeter gun, long 76, same gun as this. But the Armor Fast model, and it's a pretty typical tank destroyer. I mean, they made quite a few of them. And they make a Hellcat one as well. But the M10 tank destroyer, for instance, I'm not sure about the Hellcat one. The original model of theirs did not have a breech in it. So you've got an open top turret like this, okay? And let's see if I can get that a little closer in there. This is a 75 millimeter gun. You can see you've got the barrel end, got the business end, and you've got the non-business, what would that be? The pleasure end? Anyways, the recuperator and all that stuff, the breech and everything's on the inside. Their M10 does not have the breech part on it. So just imagine, it's definitely something that's very visible. And I have heard that they have redone the mold for that to now include the breech. Doesn't matter that it's not very detailed or whatever. It needs to have some kind of a breech. It's like a distinctive part of the vehicle. So there's a reissue of it that supposedly has the breech in it. But there's no way to find out if you order online whether it's one of the original ones or that I wouldn't want to have, or one of the later ones that I wouldn't mind buying. Because you can dress them up with a lot of other detail and stuff like that, and a crew and those type of things if you need to do that. But I don't really want to get into building a breech out of wood or something like that, just so it looks like it's something on there. So I've refrained from buying it. How many King Tigers do I have? How many King Tigers do I have that are worth a damn? None. I have two King Tigers. One of them is built and is literally the worst model I've ever built in my entire life. It is horrendously bad. It doesn't go together well. It's missing details that are important. And the plastic is made of whatever material that it doesn't work with weld cement. It is just sheer fucking garbage. It's the Stug life for you. Yep. Can't have too many of those. I've got 3, I think. I think I got 3 of them. I have 3 complete. I have an old one. They're all old. They're all 80 years old. An early one, I should say. An earlier one. I have a Stug 4. I have a Stug 4, a Stug 3 G, and a Stug 3 E. And I think I got one more to do. Relatively good looking vehicle. The Stugs. And relatively effective. But there's a big difference on whether those are stationed, because the gun that's on the Stug 3G, if we're talking about the latest version of it, 75 L48, it's the same gun that's on the Panzer IV. Is plenty good on the Western Front to basically defeat any Allied tank, except maybe the front of a Churchill, the front of a Sherman Jumbo. That's about it. They pretty much pierce and penetrate at any reasonable range any Allied tank on the Western Front. You go to Russia, though, it ain't touching a JS. The JSs are just that well armored. Now, the thing is that a JS is actually less common of a vehicle than a Tiger. Well, how can you say that? Well, think about it this way. They made about the same number of JSs as they did Tigers. However, the rest of the Russian armory is a shitload more tanks than the Germans. So, as a percentage, the JSs are a smaller percentage of the Soviet tank force than the Tigers would be for the German one. But JSU 122s, 152s, Stug ain't touching them. Not to the front, they're not. Yag Panthers. I don't like Yag Panthers, Tigers, and King Tigers, and Yag Tigers. And the reason why I don't like them is because they were issued, as a general rule, in independent formations. And I just lose interest in learning about them when they're in those funky independent formations that there's no loyalty to. It's almost kind of like free agents on a team. It's like, oh, if you're just going to be floating around all the time, if you're not going to be with us through the thick and thin, I'm just kind of not interested in it. And that's kind of, I mean, kind of silly, but I've always looked at it from I did modeling before I ever did modeling of tanks before I ever did wargaming with them, and I just wasn't interested in doing any of these independent units that didn't have any, that many times did not have any unit markings. I mean, the Tiger battalions did, but the Yag Panther battalions didn't. You know, the 653rd Yag Panther, detachment or whatever. So Yag Panthers do look pretty cool, and that is a hell of a weapon. The 88 millimeter gun, the long 88L71, but I don't know. I just kind of not a fan of them because they were in those independent units. You know. I don't mind having them because I have so many other units. It's not like I'm just collecting, the all I have is King Tigers and Yeg Panthers. I've got shitty stuff too. I have weak things too. But they do look nice. Yag Panther's a good looking vehicle. There's no doubt about it. Well, the nice thing is today was my first day back to work and tomorrow's Friday, so got to break me in on an easy schedule there. Schedule. So I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow, but I plan on being back on Saturdays and Sunday mornings. I don't miss gaming face to face, but if I don't do this for a while, I'll miss this. Okay. Hetzers are cute. You love the remote control top machine gun. Have you seen the episode of The Chieftain where he does a walkthrough on a Hetzer? What a contraption. Lots of blind spots. They're definitely cute. I have one. Just haven't painted her yet. But she's built. Hetzer's gonna Hetz. So there's another German vehicle that has a remote control machine gun other than the Hetzer. Can't think of what it is. Jagdpanzer 4. Yeah, Jagdpanzer 4 is a sexy beast. I don't know what it is. It looks good. And even with the shorter 75 millimeter gun, it's a good looking vehicle. You know, I personally think that's the reason the Germans are so popular is because their vehicles are either really attractive or at worst cool looking, wicked looking. As a general rule, yeah, they got some ugly ass dog things sometimes, but as a general rule, the Germans have some pretty attractive vehicles. You know, at least that's my take on it. I don't think that they're popular because everybody wants to, be a white supremacist or whatever, a supremacist of some kind of another. It's just because the equipment's cool. That doesn't mean other guys don't have cool stuff too, but why is this? Maybe it's this one that goes this way, and this one goes the other way. Yaha. Yaha. Yep. Brumbar? Yeah. Brumbar's pretty cool. Don't want them. Gotta paint them though. Those are all things I knew I was gonna move, so I didn't get too busy into the painting stuff. But they're ready to go. It's just a matter of just putting them together. They'll get their turn to shine. They're in the queue. I don't have a Sturmorser Tiger. That's basically a Brumbar, but instead of being on a Panzer IV hull, it's on a King Tiger hull. And instead of having a 150 millimeter howitzer / mortar, whatever you want, it has a 380 millimeter mortars. Basically a sawed off Bismarck gun. Elephant? You think the Elephant looks dumb? It's not super attractive. It's better than the Porsche Tiger. Than the vehicle that we're gonna the Porsche's failed Tiger, not the Porsche King Tiger, which honestly has grown on me more than the original one, which is a misnomer. It's a King Tiger with a pre-production turret. But the Porsche Tiger that never made it has the frickin' turret too far forward. Looks silly. I'm not a Tiger 1 fan. I don't think they're unattractive. I just, again, they're in those independent tank brigades. Sure, there's exceptions like Russ Deutschland and a couple of the SS units that had their own thing, but I'm not a fan of SS units anyways. I'm not looking forward to painting any of those bastards. Doesn't mean I won't. I'm just not looking forward to doing any of them. Although their camouflage would be a nice welcome challenge. I'm not actually a fan of it, the interleaving road wheels. As attractive as I think a Panther is, I'm not a fan of that suspension. Man, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for a while. That's literally the best thing you could do. Keep me company so we can knock things out. And this is going to be the one with a hatch open. At least the commander's hatch open. I'm running out of juice now. It's almost 11 o'clock. And we've been on here for 3 hours and 29 minutes, so it's taken me about an hour to put each one of these together. Good thing they're quick models. Good thing I'm not in a hurry. Part of the therapy is taking your time. I've got an elephant to build, and I've got a Ferdinand already built. Ferdinand being an elephant with no hole machine gun. Think you'll set up a chat on your channel once you end. Awesome. Didn't know you had a channel. Cool. Not ready to stop. There you go. That's the spirit. I'd stay up later if I didn't have to work tomorrow, but I got to get up at 5. And, more is not better. So, I mean, I could stay up more, but it involved me not going to work tomorrow and also getting some more coffee, which I'm more than willing to do both, but it's not realistic. Yeah, you're over there. It's a couple hours earlier where you're at. So 22 degrees. That's nice weather, man. I like that. So this is where we're gonna stop. Let's get the commander dude out. I'm not gonna let him leave him glued in. That's what I've done on the other ones. Is I don't glue them in. And he's going to be just kind of just hanging out. Now, the one thing that I really don't like about American tanks is I think that the uniforms that the U.S. tank crews had in World War II just look stupid. They just do. I'm sorry, and I'm not a huge fan of the German ones either. I think the British actually had the best looking tank crewman uniforms. I think the beret works well with that. They look good in the desert. Sometimes the Germans look cool, but I'm not really a fan of those baggy pants and the short boots. So I actually like the British gear the best of all of them. So I may have actually made a mistake. And what I mean by that, I shouldn't say a mistake. I missed opportunity. The Stewart comes with an option of American cruise or British cruise. And I'm hoping the Commander is the same, because it's a missed opportunity, because I could have used one of these Commanders and another one. But if they're both the same, then I didn't miss anything. And I didn't miss anything. It's exactly the same figure. Okay. Because if it was like a different American Commander, I could have had one of these other ones with a different American Commander in as well, just for mixing it up. So we're almost done with the Shermans. I'm going to do a little bit of research and see if any of these had sand skirts. They probably didn't. And obviously they're all going to be different. I've got some extra logs and put on there. I never understood why the Americans had like extra logs, but until it was actually extra armor. So you'd have to, I don't know how effective it is, but it can't be that. It can't make it worse, unless your log is covered in flammable material or something like that. It's got to be an improvement. But this is what we'll pick up next time. And yeah, these are interesting because they're different. This hull, this hatch is different than that one, and the 50 mount is here, whereas on this one it's back here. So I'm going to do some research and get some education on it, which I always like learning about this stuff anyways. Ultimately, it won't make that much of a difference, but it's always nice to know those things. You like the blue overalls, the Italian tankers. They have stupid helmets also. These guys look like they're going to go play football. Yeah, you like the blue overalls. Okay, you're back. Well, it's just time for me to leave, man. It's 11 o'clock, and I got to work tomorrow. But we'll try to get on tomorrow. If not, we'll be back on Saturday morning. Okay, until next time, folks. Thanks for stopping by. See ya.